Hey, y'all, we are back and we are at part 3 of employee versus independent contractor. And if you're new here, welcome. I am Ebony. I am a licensed attorney out of the state of Missouri, and we're just going to go through some biz tips from the legal perspective. As always, if you get anything of value out of this video, beginning, middle, end, like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Turn on your notification bell so you'll know when I am dropping these videos, and check out the small business grant playlist. There are several grant opportunities listed, but if you don't know what to do with the money, how can you be successful? And we want to make sure that you have a legally sound business once you all start getting all this money from these grants that I am putting out. If you would like to support the channel, come on over to the Patreon. It's interactive. You can comment, you can send me messages. I respond to most things. I'm going to share my screen quickly so you will be able to see what is in there. All right. Yes, I know the information is locked, y'all, okay? Once you become a member, all this stuff will be unlocked. I put general stuff in here. I put grants in here. I do for-profit, nonprofit, state-specific. If I see that there's webinars that might be useful. And I think this is a great place to network with other entrepreneurs that might have resources and information that you might be looking for. So you can post comments here to say, hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. And then maybe somebody will be able to assist you with that. And then as always, you can send me messages, comment, all of that good stuff. And I will definitely respond to that stuff there. But that's that, because I don't want to take up too much of y'all time talking about the Patreon, but support the channel. We're at part 3. Okay. Part 1, we talked about behavior controls. Part 2, we talked about financial controls. Now we are going to be discussing the relationship of the parties. So remember, the number one question that the IRS will ask before they even start looking at the test: what is the level of control that the employer has over the individual? So remember, the more control you have over a person, the more likely that they are going to be labeled as an employee versus an independent contractor. And understand, misidentifying an individual can affect your business substantially, financially, from a tax perspective, because once an individual is in fact an employee, there's all types of insurances that you have to get. There might be benefits that you need to be offering to this individual. So it's not just, oh, I mislabeled them. It's, do they get health benefits? Should they be getting overtime? Should I have workers' comp insurance? So it becomes expensive if they've been misclassified, on top of, should I have been paying into their tax liability to the IRS, because your employer pays a percentage of your taxes that are owed to the IRS. That is one of the benefits of being an employee. You're not paying 100% of your tax liability. So let's look at the 3 things that they look at from a relationship perspective of the parties once you have decided to hire somebody. The right to fire. Do you have the right to fire the independent contractor? And you're probably thinking, yeah, I can fire them if they're not performing and they're not doing whatever they're supposed to do. This is where the contract comes into play. Remember, you should always have an independent contractor agreement when you are hiring independent contractors who are, in fact, independent contractors. That contract is going to dictate what you can and cannot do as far as relieving them of their services. It's going to have a section in there. Well, it should. And we're going to talk about that, different clauses that should be in your contract, but it should be a clause in there that says what happens if somebody breaches the agreement. It also should say, what is a breach, right? Because if we're not clear on what breach in the contract is, because you might say showing up late every day, but how late? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? And can I really be late as an independent contractor? That's a question too, right? So then that starts putting that control. But the contract is going to say, if they breach, here's what must happen. And there might be language inside of the contract that says you have to give them a notice. You have to say, hey, you're in breach. Then you got to give them time to not breach, right? You tell them, hey, you breached. Contract might say they have 14 days to cure that breach. Okay, I cured the breach. Or it might say, if it's something that's not curable in 14 days, you just got to let me know. And then I'm going to give you up to 30 days. And they do that. So you can't just fire them, because then that's going to create, guess what? Lawsuits, penalties, and you're probably going to owe them, right? If you do not follow the letter of the law, which is the four corners of that contract, and you go off and just fire them because you feel like you want to fire them, and the contract says that you have to give them notice, you have to give them a right to cure, and you have to give them this long to cure that, you could owe them double the contracted amount, and they didn't even perform the work, okay? So that's number one. Number two, on the flip side, right to quit. They cannot just quit, okay? So most states are at-will employers. I could go to work tomorrow. Well, it's the weekend when I'm recording, so not tomorrow, but Monday. I could go to work and say I quit. Well, I could quit on a Sunday. They just not gonna get it until Monday. But I could say I quit. They're not gonna sue me. I don't care that the handbook is requesting 2 weeks or a month. That's a courtesy. Now, if I have an employee or an employment agreement contract, which is a rarity because now you're not at will. But if I'm at a true at will employer and I wake up tomorrow and I just walk off the job because I'm upset and I don't want to be there anymore, there is absolutely nothing they can do to me. They can't sue me. They can't do nothing at all. I just get to quit. If I'm an independent contractor, not so fast. I can't quit. Again, I have to go back to that contract and see, what does the contract say that I can and cannot do in this space when I want to quit? Now, there could be a clause in there that say you can cancel for convenience, which I don't like contracts with that, because convenience is literally that. It's no longer convenient for me to perform the work that you are asking me to perform. So therefore, I'm going to quit. Now, there might be a notice period. It might say you have to give me 10 days. It might say you have to give me 15 days. It might say 1 day, because you could pretty much sign almost any contract unless, because there's always a caveat, it is unconscionable. And that's a whole nother topic of discussion of what does unconscionable look like when entering into legally binding agreements. I digress there. So they would have to look and see, does the contract allow me to just walk off the job? Must the person be in breach in order for me to walk off the job? And again, if they are in breach, if you had an ironclad contract that was reciprocal across, for both parties, it would be the same requirement that I need 14-day notice, right? You can't just leave if there's a breach. You have to give me 30 days to cure. And most times in contracts, if the breach is for non-payment, it's 45 days. Industry standard typically will say, okay, you'll have 30 days for this, except for if it's for payment, because sometimes, this process in the banks, a lot of things are out of an individual's control sometimes when it comes to payment. So it could say, okay, we'll give you up to 45 days in order to give me payment. But the contract can then also say that I'm not working. So the job is going to go to a halt until I get that payment. And then we will continue. And on top of that, I'm not going to be responsible for any delays because of non-payment. So you can't then say I'm in breach because I don't want to continue to work for free. And you can't force me to work for free. That's number two. And number three, relationship with other parties, meaning, does it give the appearance overall of an employee-employer relationship? And things that you can consider here will be, do I have to give you reports, daily reports, right? And depending on the nature of the job, remember, The IRS is going to look at this in the totality of things, right? They're going to look at it and say, out of all the 20, if this one piece where they need daily reports, and maybe based off of the nature of the contract and the nature of the work, that is a reasonable ask. If it's not a reasonable ask, and there's other things that are required on top of that, it's giving more employee-employer relationship. And that goes back to that behavior piece of, you got to show up at a certain time. So literally, they're just going to look at, how are you all engaging? Are you having to get permission to do certain things that you wouldn't have to get permission to do if you're going to perform a contract for somebody? We're going to go back to the painter. Are they telling you how you have to stroke the brush against the wall in order to get their home painted, versus they're telling you what paint color they want, right? They have to give you that information, because if you painted a color that they don't want, then we have a problem. But the brush stroke doesn't matter if it gets us to the same end result. Now, they might want 2 coats. Maybe your standard is 2 and they want 3. That's a different conversation. So again, they're going to look at every single thing before they decide if, in fact, this person is an employee versus an independent contractor. I hope you all enjoyed this 3-part series as much as I did. Leave me a comment and let me know if you like these, because I'll definitely do another one, or not on this, obviously, on something else if you're interested. If you got anything of value out of this video, beginning, middle, end, like, share, comment, subscribe, share, and share some more. Turn on your notification bell so you know when I drop these gems. Come on over to the Patreon, because you know you want to come and talk to your girl. And then thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day virtually to spend with me. Thank you for watching this video. And as always, wherever you are in the world, I hope that you are having a beautiful day, and I will see you all next time.